to sit as a party and make a decision, unlikely to be part of the regressive caucus, because we didn't choose that in the first.
Equally, the Democratic Alliance made it very clear that we cannot work with a budget that we do not endorse. And that is why we voted against this budget. I want to reiterate that this budget is a budget against the people of this country, against the people of this country who are unable to put food on the table for themselves and their families, who cannot afford to buy school shoes, who cannot afford to basically breathe altogether. And the kingmakers in today's decision was Action SA.
He said to the ANC, look, this is your mess, this is a GNU mess, it's not our mess, but we will support the fiscal framework on condition that you accept our recommendations. And our recommendations are that we believe that there's enough revenue in the fiscus to fund the shortfall, which is around 28 billion. Let's call it 30 billion rand. Rather than increasing VAT and having the stealth tax, which is a non-inflation adjusted taxation.
And the kingmakers in today's decision was Action SA. Action SA sold South Africans to the highest bidder. They traded off the hopes and aspirations of South Africans who were depending on this parliament to be their vanguards for one round of fame. And that is something that will never go down well in the history books of this country altogether. And we know this. We know that they sold out the country because, Abraham, Minister Kotongwana told us today that this framework was passed as is. That is still not off the table. They are voting in favor of a hope that come Friday that maybe.
So we would then have to reassess where would we best fit. And under the situation that you describe, if they leave or get kicked out, we would have to reconsider where we as Action SA can make our best contribution, yes.
But the Democratic Alliance today is very proud to be one of the political parties that led the chant against a VAT increase, led a chant against the destroying the lives of poor South Africans and a middle class that is struggling to make ends meet. Our fight as the Democratic Alliance remains to ensure that we have a budget that is not wasteful, that is free of corruption, that is free of irregular expenditure, as we have seen to be the case in the last 31 years. And thanks to Action SA, the ANC is back to their gravy train altogether.
A year ago that we wouldn't join the government of national unity because they were a 70% government and big enough. And there was a new bloc of opposition calling themselves the Progressive Caucus / Regressive Caucus. So we took a decision that we would best operate as a fulcrum between those two big blocs. If the DA pulls out or gets kicked out of the government of national unity and goes into opposition, then the opposition space is going to be really crowded because the DA is very good in opposition. MK have proven to be weak in opposition. So
the rules are rules. The NHI, Bella were approved by Parliament.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They advised us that we cannot change that, and we accepted that. So if DA is not satisfied with that, they are free. They can go to Concord. That's the route. But for them to say we cannot approve budget until you have withdrawn Bella Act and this and that, they are out of order. They must be told.
General.
That you must not interrupt your adversary whilst they are making a mistake. The DA have locked themselves into an unenviable position. And they can now see that they put themselves into a cul-de-sac. It is a most unpleasant position that they've locked themselves into. This evening, John Steenhuisen made contact with me and said, where do we go now? And I said, John, the ball is entirely in your court. And he asked us, the ANC say we should leave the GNU. I said, the ball is in your court. You have put yourself in this position. So you need to work your way out. You took a decision in the committee. That was the choice you made. And you tried to argue that the position that was adopted is no different from the position that they had put up in either cabinet or outside And I said, the reason why the ANC, through our chief whip, embarked on a process of consulting